Hello, everyone. This is Irene here from the KB Real Estate team at Keller Williams Portfolio Realty. I want to thank you very much. Those of you who are here and for those of you who are watching the recording, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Miguel Ferreira. You're from Porto, correct?
Yeah, Portugal. Yeah, Porto. Yes.
Portugal, to share his wisdom with us on the benefits of buying real estate in Portugal. So Miguel, I will give you the floor and let you do an intro, and then we'll soak in all of your information.
Thank you very much, above all, for hosting me and giving me this opportunity to talk about the Portuguese and the real estate market in Portugal. It's a true pleasure having the opportunity to present this. I was a little bit a while ago explaining, Irene, how's the Portuguese real estate market at the moment. It's the real estate market after the bubble we had in 2012 and the depression that although worldwide we had on the market, and up until 2017 the market was quite depressed. But since then, considering the incentives that the European Central Bank and each country around which belongs to the European community has given to the people and to the companies, the fact is that the market started to increase. We were going very well up until COVID appeared and this pandemic situation, and the fact is that the European Central Bank at that time started dumping money on the economy, onto banks to loan, and effectively we had, during almost 3 years, we have a negative mortgage. We have a negative interest rate, which reflected also on the mortgages. We at some point we had a negative interest rate of minus 0.6. And even if we consider the spread that the banks were using of about 1%, we were basically having interest rates of 0.4 or 0.5, which was great. It allowed for many companies and people which wanted to invest, getting money and invest in different businesses. And this also reflected onto the real estate business. Since during the pandemic situation, the real estate market, although it slowed down, we kept on working. But after the COVID and the economy started to open and people were allowed to do business normally, the fact is that the real estate market has exploded. And we had increases in valuation of houses of about 16% to, in some areas, 20% per year, which is very, very good. And of course, with money which you could get at a low interest rate, the fact is that people which were on small apartments, they started to buy bigger apartments. People which were on apartments started buying houses, because everyone wanted to, of course, have more space and preparing for another situation of pandemic situation, which may or not happen again. The fact is that with easy money, and with money which you can buy with low interest rate, you can have with low interest rate, of course, the mortgage which you had to pay was so low you could afford a bigger house and make a bigger investment. Now we have the upside of that situation, because at the moment and for the past 6 months, the fact is that our interest rates have been increasing. At a steady pace. At the moment, we have 4% plus the spread, which makes it around 5% interest rate, which which is okay for the economy. It's still lower than in the States, which is 7% at the moment. So it's not bad, but effectively people look at the houses and the new real estate, and they think, okay, I cannot afford to have such a big house because the mortgage that I will have to pay will be higher, and then I have to think lower. And at the moment, we have a little bit of turmoil in the real estate market because of that. This is being compensated by real estate investment funds, and of course for foreign investment, which is increasing enormously in Portugal. People, well, you still, when you compare Portugal to the major metropolises across Europe and United States, you still can buy. The value for money over here is bigger than what you could get in Canada or in the United States or in France or whatever. So Portugal real estate market is still very attractive. Even now, we are in the valuation on at the moment from beginning of the year up until now, we're talking about 6% valuation on the houses.
Do you mean 6%? Do you mean increase in value?
Yeah, increased value of the houses has increased 6%. We don't expect it to increase so much now because 15 days ago, the European Central Bank also talked about increasing the interest rate, and of course that will stop some investments to be done. At least people are thinking more carefully at the moment because the cost of money is much higher than it used to be. But
Miguel,
as I said,
sorry, I just want to jump in with a question. Sorry to interrupt, but sometimes it makes sense to ask at time. And this might be something that you're going to cover a little bit later, but as far as your current mortgages and the current interest rates, are non-residents or foreign owners able to take advantage of those, or are you seeing more people from out of the country just purchase with cash from their own countries?
No, any foreigner, if he can prove that he has income in their own country, they are allowed to buy money, to have a mortgage in Portugal. The only difference is that while in Portugal you could get up until 90% of the valuation of the house for money, for a loan. If you're a foreigner, you'll only be allowed to get a top. The amount will be 80% and not 90%. Okay, naturally, even and that is what's happening at the moment. Some people, even if they can afford to buy the house and buy in cash, their option is to get a loan over here. They pay 50% and they get the rest on a loan, and so it's quite easy and simple to do it.
Great,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So some areas of Portugal, of course, are more interesting than others, but what we're seeing now is that the amount of tourists and of foreigners buying houses in Portugal is increasing enormously. And especially North Americans, and I mean people from the States and Canada. It's at the moment, almost 60% of the tourists that we're having are coming from North America. And these people, of course, once they visit Portugal, it's magical. Magic happens, and either they buy immediately if they can afford it, or what happens quite a lot, they go back and afterwards they come to Portugal to either buy a house or to as an investment, thinking on retirement, and that happens a lot because it makes sense. I've been contacting with many people which want to buy a house on a short-term loans, and they put it on Airbnb or Booking or whatever. And of course, the income that they get is much higher than on a long-term rent. And of course, that is what makes sense. And after a while, they decided if they wanted to get it out of the market, or if they want to keep it and make some more investment. We're having people from Israel, from Turkey, from France, Italy, Spain, from Sweden, from Finland, from Canada, from Brazil, lots of Brazilians also, and the United States. All these people are not only investing on making small investments, I would say, on farms, on houses, on apartments, but also some of them making investment on building. That is because they've seen that so many multinational companies are coming to Portugal, and they have the need to put their staff, their new staff in. They need bigger offices. And so in what concerns offices, housing, and hotels, it's been massive, the amount of investment which is going on over here.
Miguel, we have had a considerable amount of restrictions from Airbnb and short-term rentals put on our property owners. Yeah. What are the restrictions, if any, and how are investors dealing with them?
Okay, we also are having some restrictions, not as you have in Canada, but we also have restrictions. The fact is that the restrictions that we have here are not for foreign people. They are it's a flat restriction, so anyone that wants to get into the market will face the same restrictions. Which are those restrictions and why? Of course, if the prices of the houses go higher, the rents also go higher. And we have a situation in Portugal in which effectively the value of the rent is increasing enormously. And people start to moving to short-term rentals because they benefit the most. And so many houses are leaving the long-term rental to go to short-term rentals. So the government is putting some restrictions on certain areas of Lisbon and Porto. Downtown Porto, downtown Lisbon, they say there's an excessive amount of short-term rentals, and so they are progressively stopping those new licenses for that. That doesn't mean that the people that have it will lose it. If they keep the contract in order, there's because the contracts normally are for 5 years. So each 5 years there's a review. If the conditions are the same, the license will be issued without any problem. For the new licenses, if we go to areas outside the pressure areas, as they are called, in principle, there's no problem. What in some areas, the municipalities, what they are doing is opening the licenses for 6 months, or a period of 6 months, during which you can apply, and you'll have it, and then it will be closed for another 6 months. Sorry. This means that it's not throughout the year that you can get the licenses, but this happens basically in the biggest cities like Porto and Lisbon. In Algarve, there's no problem. In Madeira, there's no problem. And if you go anywhere else in Portugal, you won't have any issue with that.
Thank you. We had a question, Linda, but you put your hand down. Did you still want to ask something?
I did. I wanted to know what the steps are for a foreigner buying in Portugal.
Yeah, well, of course, basically you have to find the place. You have to find the suitable place and see if it needs some renewal or whatever it might need. But the steps are quite easy. You just have to make an offer, and of course, depending on if you're going to pay on cash, or if you're going to have the need to get a mortgage in Portugal. If you need to get a mortgage in Portugal, of course, you have to open a bank account and apply for that. And that is the part of the services that my team can provide. We can provide either if you need some renewal, if you need lawyer support, if you need a visa support, if you need a credit approval support, whatever you might need, we can support you on that. But of course, if you need a credit, you'll necessarily go through a credit approval, which normally within 48 hours they tell you if it's okay or not. And then, of course, it's the necessary contracts. You make a contract with the seller. Normally, we call it a pre-contract. It's not the final contract. It's just a contract in which the terms of the business are stated, and that including you can do that contract and not having the money. We just on those situations we just put a clause in which we say if you don't get a credit approval, the deal is off, and the money that you given upfront for we call it a signal, a proof of intention, will be sent back, because normally the real estate company keeps that money and only gives it to the owner after the credit approval is set and the bank says, okay, we can move forward with this business. After that, the bank goes into the house and makes a valuation of the house. And of course, if everything is okay, we go through with the credit. So roughly within a month time between the moment that you've seen the house and the moment that and the final contract is issued, we have a month and a half at the most. So it's it's a very simple process. I don't know if
sorry.
Did I explain correctly, or did you understand me, Linda?
No, I think, Linda, I think that's very similar to us with deposit and appraisals. It's a very similar type of process, just a little bit shorter and more condensed.
Yes. My other question for you, Miguel, is with the deposit, is there an amount that we put down for deposit, the buyer, or does it vary?
Well, it can vary. Normally, that's the standard in this that we have here. It's a 10% deposit. 10%. Why? It could be bigger. It could be if it's an interesting business. If there's competitors onto this business, of course, it makes sense that your deposit is higher, or you have fewer restrictions, or you don't want an analysis on the house to see how it is, and an inspection on the house or whatever. So the conditions, depending on the conditions, if there's competition on that, the best conditions that you can propose to the owner are the ones that the better ones will win. But normally it's 10%. 10% of the value of the business.
So
okay, thank you.
It sounds like you have multiple offers, just like we do here.
We can have it, yeah, and sometimes, well, it goes up. It can go above the asking price, but it's not that. Fortunately, that doesn't happen very often. Multiple offers are a situation which can happen if the house is being sold on that condition, on the condition of multiple offers. But that happens when the house or the apartment, whatever, is not having lots of visitors, doesn't have lots of offers. So what we do is we reduce a little bit on the price. We establish a baseline for the price, and then we ask for offers from customers that are going to visit the house, and they put it on an envelope. So at the same time, we open everything, and the one that is bigger, if it's within the amount that the owners expect, the biggest offer will win.
Okay,
But
Miguel, I don't know
that's,
if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
yes, I
We
can
can hear
hear
you.
you.
Basically, I have one big question. I'm gonna go to Algarve. Any restrictions? I live in Canada now. I want to retire to Algarve. All I have to do is take my money with me and put a deal down on a house that I like, get into this contract process. There's no restrictions on where I come from, what nationality I am, anything like that.
Well, if you're Russian or if you're coming from a country which is doubtful at the moment, there are some restrictions. You'll be inspected to see if there's any connections to terrorists or whatever. So, but that's a safety situation. Of course, what we would recommend is that you apply to a visa so that you're allowed to stay on a permanent basis on Portugal. If you can come with your money to Portugal and you can buy whatever you want, but if you're staying with a tourist visa, you can only stay for 6 months.
Oh, so what's the visa I should apply for if I'm planning?
There are two. There were 3 types of visas, and effectively yesterday, but quite honestly, I didn't have the time to read it carefully. We had a visa which was called Golden Visa. And in fact, it still exists. It's still open, but the government said that it's going to be closed, but it's not. It's still working. The Golden Visa, basically, if you invest 500,000 euros on a property or a real estate investment fund, you're allowed to get that Golden Visa. And that Golden Visa allows you to be and travel across Europe wherever you want to go, okay? Without any problems, you can stay here on a permanent basis if you want to. And after 5 years, you can apply to citizenship if you want to. And okay, that could be of interest or not. But since we had lots of people, including from Russia before the war, and from Israel and people which were basically applying for the Golden Visa, paying 500,000 euros was pennies for them, and they just got this visa, and afterwards it was a way of, well, I wouldn't say money laundering, but it allowed them certain rights which effectively were used poorly, okay, were used on the wrong way, and of course, left-wing parties started to say, okay, these foreign people are coming to Portugal. They are buying 300,000 euro houses and paying 500,000 euro houses on that because they just want a visa, and the real estate prices are increasing because of that. Okay, the fact is that lots of money has entered the country, but on a practical term, it didn't move the economy quite as much as people say. So now, as I said, the Golden Visa process is still, if you apply today, if you make the purchase today, and if you apply today, it's still valid. Okay, it's still valid, but they say it's going to be closed very shortly. And yesterday, as I said, they passed on a law. And I'll just read it for you because I have it here. I haven't analyzed it thoroughly, but what it says, and I'm sorry because I'm going to translate it from Portuguese. Foreign citizens which make investments of over 500,000 euros on capital risk funds aiming to capitalize companies can keep the benefits of residency as it was with the Golden Visa. The same can be done if you create at least 10 jobs and invest 500,000 euros to create or capitalize the capital of a commercial society, which is already in Portugal. So basically, and what can be done is, if you want a golden visa, if you want an easy process for this golden visa, basically, instead of buying a property, you buy a company or a part of a company that owns the property. And that is easy because we have companies in Portugal which own several houses, or including they can manage several hotels or whatever. So if you buy a portion of that company up to 500,000 euros, you're eligible for the golden visa. But as I said, there are other options which I consider are much less complicated.
This sounds complicated.
Yeah, because when you start going with these 500,000 euros investment, and you need to have jobs, and how can I do it, and how do I prove it, and then it's messy. It's messy. So basically, we have two other types of visas. We have the D7, which is for nomad travelers, people that want to install themselves in Portugal, to people that want to retire in Portugal. For instance, if you want to retire in Portugal, you are eligible for this as long as you prove that you have an income over 6,000 euros. Actually, it's 6,256 euros, I believe. That is the amount that you have to do on a monthly basis of income to apply to retire in Portugal, and you'll be eligible for a D7 visa.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I'm retiring to Portugal. What
Yeah.
kind of income am I having? I don't have an income. My wife and I are retired. We're going to Portugal. What's this all about?
Well, the income, maybe you have either you have a trust fund, or you're receiving some money from savings or whatever. Or if you can prove that you have wealth, it's not a problem. You just have to say, okay, I'm wealthy. You can prove that you are wealthy. The money is yours. It's not from your cousin or whatever. If you prove that you have that money, the visa will be given to you.
Okay, so I buy a property for 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. I still get the visa, no BS.
Even for this D7, you don't have to buy a 500,000 euro house. It can be whatever house you want, the one that is suitable to you, even if it's below 500,000 euro. Okay.
Okay, so as long as I show them I have money in the bank, who cares?
Well, if you prove that you have money, or that you have income from social security, or from some retirement plan or whatever, it's okay. It's okay. That will suffice to prove that you have the money, and you can come here as and retire and have the visa. Okay, and it's the same. For 5 years, you're allowed to get the citizenship, apply to citizenship in Portugal.
So if I can jump in to kind of add to that, Miguel,
Please.
just for people who are retiring and wanting to go to Portugal, one of the areas of income that the Portuguese government will look at is your own savings or investment accounts in Canada, and looking at how much interest or how much growth they have. Again, if you hit that sort of 70,000 euros a year level, they'll consider that to be the same as income that you were being paid directly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there and growing, all of that stuff it's pretty easy to calculate. Your CPP gets calculated inside that. If you've got any sort of pension payments or Ontario pension, anything like that, you can add those all together to hit that sort of 6,600 euro a month limit.
Yeah, that's it. If you can prove that income is coming, no matter from where it comes, it's eligible for the D7 visa.
Miguel, we have a question in the chat from Nestor. What is the situation if you are already an EU citizen? Nestor, maybe you could just clarify, what do you mean by situation? The availability? Where is Nestor? Okay, maybe we'll come back to Nestor.
But I can reply on that in any case. If you're already a EU citizen, you can pretty much live wherever you want in within the European Union without any necessity of applying for a visa. You're just being considered as a foreign citizen. And of course, in what concerns mortgage, you'll only be allowed to get 80% from loan from the bank as to the value of the house. So, but for visa, you won't have any problems with that.
So if I have my EU passport already,
Yeah,
so I'm a Greek citizen, so I can go anywhere in the EU. I can buy a property in Portugal.
Yeah.
There's no issue about residency. Do I have to show a job or anything like that when I retire?
If you're a foreigner and you have an European passport, if it's it depends if it's within the EU, but British citizens have pretty much, we have even if Britain has gone out of the EC, we still have agreements with the British government, so it won't be an issue. You're allowed to get a house in Portugal. It's your property, you won't have any problem with that. That's the beauty of Portugal. Stable country, easygoing people, and of course, it's your property, it's private property. You do it with it whatever you want.
Yeah, I want to buy a place in Portugal. I go over there with my money. I buy a place, say 400,000. What is this with this minimum income? How much minimum income do I have to show them? I don't get a lot of pension funds. I don't have a lot of savings that are earning a lot of money. What is the minimum I have to show the government so they don't kick me out after I buy?
No, the situation of if you want to buy your house, you're allowed to buy your house. It's not an issue. The thing is, you want to be here and not being considered as a foreigner. Of course, you are a foreigner, but you are a resident in Portugal, and that provides you, including from social security, from you're allowed to go to the national hospitals. From the state and get you don't need to use your an health insurance or whatever. You're treated as if you were a Portuguese citizen. You are given the same rights if you are a resident in Portugal, and so that is beneficial for you because you can stay as long as you want and you can move back and forth. You can stay 6 months in Portugal, 6 months in Canada, whatever you want. Or if you are a resident in Portugal, you can also travel across Europe without any problems because that condition of residency in Portugal.
I understand this, but how much money do I have to show them? Like Aruba, I checked into Aruba, they want 70,000 plus US dollars a month to show them that you can live there permanently year round.
Yeah.
All right. I understand how much I want to move to Portugal. How much money do I have to show them I make an income, a certain limit or not?
Normally, what is requested or what is typified on the visa is around 6,000 euros per month. You should have an income of
$80,000, 80,000 euros when you retire.
Not 60, 6,000 euros per month.
Well, that's 70,000 euros. That's almost $100,000 a year. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to go there to get a job so I can live in Portugal.
Yeah, I understand that, but well, we would have to analyze more carefully about that situation because if you can, you have to prove basically
all these countries are like Aruba. Everybody, we don't want you unless you're rich. I don't care what you buy.
No, basically,
Miguel?
maybe what we can do is connect you after the session to answer some specific questions.
I found out what I needed to know because this is the same BS that goes with other countries. I just want to buy property and retire. I don't want to show them I'm making money. I don't have the money. I'm retired.
Yeah, I understand that, but but basically, what happens is that that is a law, and when the law is made for everyone, and without looking at the face of the person which is applying. Basically, what they're saying, what they're sorry, basically what they are saying is that, okay, you have to prove that you have income and will not be an indigent, a person which you live on the street, but if you're buying a house of 200, 300, 400,000 euros, of course, you'll have to prove that you have the money. And so that won't be a problem, I'm sure. But we can connect afterwards and I'll give you a more thorough analysis on that and including support you on that process if you want to, okay?
Well, this is not
Miguel,
today or tomorrow, so I found out what I want. Basically, all these countries are the same. Come to our country, buy property, but you gotta make a lot of money in income or we'll kick you out. 6 months and we'll kick you out. This to me is
Miguel,
a place to retire. All right, thank you very, they're all the same. All about money, nothing else.
All right, well, let's get to our questions. Linda, you had a question.
yeah, Miguel, I just wanted to know, let's say that you don't hit the $70,000 threshold per year. Is there an amount of savings that you can show that you do have
Yes.
in
Yes,
order to? Yes,
That is the explanation that I was trying to make. If you already have savings that you gather through your life, you can prove easily that if necessary, you can transfer that money to Portugal on a steady basis, the 6,000 euros on a steady basis. So it's basically income coming to the country, which will use as you want. And so it doesn't have to be an income out of a company or out of receiving a paycheck every month. You just have to prove that you can stay in Portugal and you'll have the funds to do it. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, realistically, and Fern, thank you. You put a great question in the chat. We'll get to you in a couple of seconds. The country just wants to know that you're not going to be a drain on their resources, right?
Yeah, basically that you have the money to support yourself and have a good lifestyle over here, because otherwise you won't stay long.
and is there a minimum that you look for in a savings account?
Quite honestly, I cannot tell you at the moment which is the minimum savings, but I can inform Irene afterwards, or you can have my contacts afterwards, and we keep in touch so that I can inform you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Miguel.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Fern, you put a great question in the chat about required timing. Is that what you wanted to know? Unmute, please.
Hi, Miguel. I'm Fern, and my question is, to apply or obtain the D7 visa, is there a minimum period per year that you have to be residing in Portugal?
Yeah, on the first year, you'll have to, once you apply for a D7 visa, you'll have to stay 6 months on a roll. Okay, during 6 months, you cannot leave the country. The first 6 months. You're either, if you're a digital nomad, or if you're retiring or whatever, the first 6 months, you have to stay in the country. Okay. Then once, and that is during that period of time, and the visa, D7 visa is given on a very, it's fast to get the visa. And it is effectively the fastest, but you have that condition. 6 months, you have to stay in Portugal. Then you can move back and forth.
So that's a lot different than the golden visa, correct?
Yeah. But the process is much easier than the golden visa, because the golden visa takes lots of time before you get it effectively, and the services are have so many processes to handle that effectively the time to get the golden visa now is almost 6 to 7 months.
Which in the grand scheme of things doesn't seem like an awful lot of time if you're going to be there for years.
Yeah.
So like if somebody wanted to buy property there, let's say in the next few months, and it wasn't in those pressured locations, as you call them. So can you just make the investment and not stay there, and then you just wait for the visa and that's it?
Yeah, you can you can come and buy your property and not apply for the visa. You just apply for the visa if you want to stay here. If you're not,
That was my question.
it's not your intention to stay here. You buy it. You're a non-resident. As far as taxes on the property is concerned, you'll be taxed the same as a Portuguese, as a regular citizen in Portugal. So the tax for tax purposes is exactly the same, being or not being resident. So you can come, you buy your house, you apply to a short-term rental process. You receive your permit, and you get your income, and you cannot, and you stay wherever you want to stay. You don't have to stay in Portugal.
So do you happen to know if there it's like favorable from a tax perspective to become a citizen? I mean, a resident?
Sorry,
If you're do you happen to know if there are tax benefits to becoming a permanent resident if you're a Canadian buying or investing in Portugal?
No, at the moment, as I told you, the being resident or non-resident, the taxes are exactly the same. You're because that was confusing. People were applying for the visa, and were they eligible? Were not they eligible? So now we have basically the same rate for everyone. So it's for you. It's if you want to make an investment, you can buy immediately. You can receive your rent out of it, your income out of it, and until you decide that you want to move to Portugal and use your property and live here if you want to, or sell it for profit.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the tourist visa that you mentioned, Miguel. So you can only stay for 6 months, and is that per year?
Per year, yes.
Okay.
If you're
So
staying with a tourist visa, basically it allows you to stay only for a period of 6 months during a year time.
And do you have any restrictions as an investment property owner on rentals, whether they're short or long term, if you stay a non-resident?
There is no discrimination on that. You can be either a resident or non-resident, and then you decide if you want to put your property to long-term rental or short-term rental. Of course, long-term rental is what the government wants. So, but there's no actual benefit on that because they don't give you anything more. There's a reduction on if you make long-term contracts of over 3 years, the taxation is lower, but effectively at the moment, and what I would advise, and it is the wisest advice I can do, is for someone which buys property in Portugal, they should invest and consider the short-term rental because it's the one that gives you the most benefit. While in the long
flexibility too, if you want to stay there for a month or two.
Of course.
We have a question from the portfolio office.
Yes, we do. Miguel, the golden visa up until the changes you were talking about also allowed people that were looking to buy or invest in areas that were more outside of the beaten path to be able, rather than 500,000 euros, there was a 20% discount. So for roughly 400,000 or 375, you could apply for the golden visa because these were areas that effectively you would be helping sort of bring up or make more popular. Is that change still going to be in effect with these changes that they've just announced? Or is it going to be 500,000 all across the board?
At the moment, this decision, as all decisions when they are put to the market, when they are informed, what they say is it will be throughout Portugal. While until February, only certain areas on the coast, near the coast, Lisbon and Porto, they weren't conceding any golden visas. Now, once the law is applied, it will be across the country. Okay, but we have this exception that was yesterday was informed about this new facility, this new condition for the golden visa. But what they want basically is aiming whomever wants to invest or whomever wants to have a golden visa, they have to invest and create benefits for the country, create jobs and or invest in companies which will grow and be will produce money out of it. Okay, so that is basically what we're having at the moment. So I cannot tell you how this is going to go in a near future, but for the time being, we have this transition period in which effectively we are limited on the information that we also have. Okay, that's why I'm suggesting always to go to a D7 or a D2 visa. The D2 visa, basically, if you are a small entrepreneur and you want to come to Portugal and invest in a small business, a small SME company, which can be, as I said, you can buy a company which already owns a house which is on a short-term rental basis. So you're applying to that business, you're buying that business, so you are eligible for a D2 visa, and the amount of investment can be lower than the one that you had to do with a golden visa, which was the 500,000 euros or 375,000 euros plus. If the house was old or needed some renewal, the amount would be lower, but then you would invest on the renewal of the house.
Yeah.
Did you understand what I explained? Thank you.
He's got his thumbs up.
Yeah, I saw it. Thank you.
Miguel, you said 500,000 euros of a house. Is it possible to get a mortgage, or is this amount should be paid in cash, or is mortgage possible?
That is quite honestly, it's a question that I've never answered, and quite honestly, I'm not sure of that. I have to confirm, because what the law says is about investments. Of course, if you make the investment with your own cash, or if you get a loan for that, if you analyze the law as it is, it says 500,000 euros investment, not on a house, it can be on a business. Okay, so we're talking about investing in Portugal, either on a house or on a business. But effectively, if you get where you get the money from, it's not important, because it can be 20% of that amount can be your own money, and the rest you can get it from a loan. If it's considered by a Portuguese bank, okay, it's not a problem. You'll go through the bureaucracy of having the loan in Portugal, but that I would have to analyze it very, very thoroughly, because quite honestly, never one has put me that question. So I will have to reply on that afterwards.
Yeah, that is
principle, since the law says 500,000 euros investment, you can do it with your money and with a loan.
That's such a great
no restrictions that saying that the money has to come out of your pocket.
Yeah, it kind of changes things. If it's a 500,000 euro purchase with a mortgage versus a 700,000 euro purchase where I put 500 down and I get a $200,000 mortgage. So it'd be interesting to see how each of those would be examined as it comes to the visas. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Fern, you had another question. Unmute, please.
Sorry, I might have missed this because I had trouble logging on. So you might have covered this already, but is there any benefit, or what would be the difference between like what is recommended, getting a mortgage in Portugal or getting a mortgage in your home country, in Canada, let's say? Like, do you have to get the more, like, how does it work? Do you get a mortgage there or do you get a mortgage here?
Basically, what makes sense is that you pay less money for your mortgage. So if depending on the interest rate that you have on Canada, you know what the interest rate is in Portugal at the moment will be around 5%. So you get your money, get your loan where you pay the less.
So what do you find most Canadians do? Are they getting the money in Portugal or in Toronto? Or I mean, in Canada?
Well, most of the people that want to get a mortgage, they get it here because the interest rate, the mortgage rate is lower here than it's there.
Got it. Thank
If
you.
you need to get a mortgage, if you don't need to get a mortgage, depends on what the cost of interest, depending what are you going to do with that money. Are you going to invest it and get more than 5%? If so, okay, it makes sense. Get a mortgage, pay 5%, and use that money to invest elsewhere and get more money out of it.
Thank you.
Philip and team.
Yeah, I have a question from Kira.
Okay, thank you. How much income do you have to show? How many months or how many years do you have to show? You said that minimum of 6,000 euros per month is required. And how many months or how many years do you have to show that amount?
Well, the thing is, your situation can change. When you apply to the visa, and the visa will be given to you the first time is for 2 years. Okay, so you have to, at the time that you apply, you have to prove that you have that income or you have that money on the bank, and it will be evaluated how it's going. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Are you getting more money each month, or do you have enough money to stay in Portugal for a period of 2 years? Okay, after those 2 years, there's the situation there will be another evaluation before they give it to you. It's not automatic. Okay, and then it's for another year. And then, no, sorry, the first year you have a revision, then it's 2 years plus 2 years, okay? 1 year, 2 years plus 2 years, and then you get 5-year period in which you can apply to citizenship. Right. Okay, so you have to prove basically that you have for the first year, or that you have income, and that if you are working in Canada and you want to, in any case, you want to apply to a visa because you will travel, you want to make a business, you don't want the restrictions of being only 6 months in Portugal. In that situation, it makes sense to have the visa. But in any case, those are the restrictions. 1 year, you have to prove your income. Then you prove again, you get 2 years, then you prove again, and then you get two extra years of D7 visa.
Miguel, I have a question that's a little bit more bigger picture, just to get us away from sort of numbers. So let's say somebody wants to buy real estate in Portugal. Portugal is a big country. How can you help people figure out where? So let's say they're not buying in, like specifically in Porto or Lisbon, like in the downtown, but they say, I want to buy somewhere. Like, how do you help somebody figure that out?
Well, basically, we have to qualify everyone. We need to know, why are you buying a house in Portugal? What is your intention? What do you search? Do you want something calm? Do you want something to retire? What is the most interesting thing to you? Is being near an airport? Do you want to have a farm? Which type of farm do you want? Do you want to grow something? So we would have to know exactly what each person requires, and why is he making the investment, so that we search the correct property or properties which go onto in that qualification. Because of course, if you're a digital nomad, what do you need? You need to be basically near an airport, and you need to have good Wi-Fi connection, because you can pretty much work wherever you want. And there are so many people working because unfortunately, internet connection in Portugal is very good everywhere, basically everywhere, not only on big cities, but everywhere. It's good. The black spots that we have are very, very, very low. But so basically, you want to make the most of your money, and if you want to make the most of your money, get out of the big cities, because the property is much more expensive over there. If you want to grow chickens and you want to retire and you want to be near a river, so let's search for a property. So if you don't want too much of a job, you don't want to take care of landscaping, you want something smaller, we'll get it for you. It depends a lot on what you require, on what you want. And we can present you different alternatives to that, so that you see which one fits you the best. And on a first basis, we'll do it via internet. We'll show you properties and options. And once you decide which one or which ones you see are most fit to you, then I would suggest a trip to Portugal and visit them and see if they if any of them is the one is the one that you'll be willing to buy. That is basically what I would recommend. Of course, maybe we find a house which requires painting, then we can provide you for that service. Then you'll search for something that if your intention is effectively to invest, maybe it's necessary to find you which is the most suitable investment. Is it a property which is already fixed up, or are we going for a fixer up? And then we fix it for you, and you'll make more. The money will be better, because fixer upper is always easier to buy, and the investment is lower. So each customer will have to design specifically a situation for each customer and find them the most suitable solution. And on that, our team will provide you every support that you might require.
That's awesome. Thank you. Linda, before we run, I know you've been very patient with your hand.
Hi, Miguel. I have a question regarding people who have dual citizenship. So I'm a Portuguese citizen and I'm also a Canadian citizen. And I also have friends in the same sort of thing. And they're thinking of buying property in Portugal. Does that threshold that you were talking about for foreigners also apply to people under a similar umbrella that I just described? Or is it different?
No, it's basically you're a Portuguese citizen. If you have if you have double citizenship, if you don't have any problem with that, you don't require any visa. When you're in Portugal, you're Portuguese.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to show the.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
You just you buy what you want, and you stay as long as you want. You're a Portuguese.
You got a
Thank you
leg
very
up there,
much.
Linda. Awesome. Well, we're getting to the tail end of our hour. Miguel, thank you. I probably have a list of another hour's worth of questions, as some of you might as well, but we did only have an hour. So we'll make sure that we can connect everybody with you. Miguel, I think, Philip, did you want to add something before we run? You unmuted.
Obrigado.
Thank you so much. Obrigado to all of you guys, which were and gals, which were attending this meeting. Once again, thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given me to talk about Portugal and the real estate market in Portugal. I believe there are many questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't reply as thoroughly as I would to some of them, but I promise you that all those gray spots about having the full amount or having the loan in Portugal, I will make sure I will reply to you about that, so that you can for sure be secure that in each, either if you have to have it all the cash, or you can apply to a loan and have the visa again the same way. I will have a reply to that, because effectively that is not a question that has been asked to me, and I'm not sure of that. But I'll talk
Linda,
with our lawyers, which support us on that issue, and they'll give it to me.
that's awesome. Linda, we'll be sending out the recording of the session, and we'll make sure that you and everybody else has Miguel's contact information, so you could reach out directly.
Very good. Well, thank you, Miguel. Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful, Miguel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Obrigado.
awesome.
Obrigado.
Okay, have a great, well, I guess for you, have a great evening, and everybody else have a terrific afternoon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.